ground floor.
With marijuana, I can talk about my experience with marijuana. I can talk about my experience with pornography. I can talk about experience with alcohol. Okay, that's just my experience. It's not an opinion. It's just an experience.
Okay, so let's pivot a little bit. Let's talk about this topic. So obviously, addiction and substance abuse is something that you've sort of had a lot of experience with. So tell me that story. How did that come
Yeah,
about?
so I mean, you know what? There's a couple of things that on my journey was a little bit challenging for me. Coming out of a household, my mom and my dad and my stepmom, they were in the army. My dad was lieutenant colonel. Both my dad and my mom. My dad was in the recce's, and I grew up in a household where I was exposed to the military way of doing things, but not like you've got to go to bed at 8, you've got to go. So, long story short, my mom and my dad got divorced. My dad drank a lot, and my mom didn't drink at all. She wanted to kind of protect us from that. But that being said, I grew up pretty much. There was a couple of how can I say this? There was stuff missing, as you grow up. I mean, and later I started running away from stuff. Getting into alcohol. The alcohol was a big thing for me, and I was at a point where I was totally addicted to alcohol.
Was this while you were already working on?
On Binnenlanders, yeah, and that's also in the book. And I was smoking weed. After I had 3 relapses, and and that's not a lot of things people know. After the alcohol, I started smoking marijuana, and from one joint a day to almost to 5 to 7 joints a day, and strong stuff. And what it psychologically did to me was a bit scary. And where I am today, I'm bipolar, and I drink medication every day, and that's why I say it's a challenge for me not a challenge for me, but I'm still implementing stuff in my life to grow as a person, whether it's standing for something like that, reading a lot, listening to a lot of stuff. You get formed by the stuff that you read, the stuff that you listen to, the stuff you look at, the people that you surround yourself with. Those are very, very vital. Those are very important things for you to go forward, and that's something that I've learned through the years. I mean, then I can't sleep at night, and it's difficult for me. So I know which source to go to for me to operate, in a higher state, and it's still difficult, and that's going through the suffering, not drinking or not smoking marijuana or not partying. It's suffering. You suffer for something. You suffer for something good. I mean, if you have to wake up at 5 o'clock every morning to go to the gym, it's not lekker. You want to snooze. You want to flip and listen to the rain, and you want to flip and cuddle, kind of thing. But it's difficult to wake up at 5 a.m. and to go to. Eventually, it will get easier, but it's tough. You suffer, but the end goal is great. And for me, I mean, I'm it's a long story short now. And that's what's specifically in the book. I talk about stuff like that and what I went through going there. Now, did I lose friends? Yes. Do you become, do people invite you? No, they don't invite you anymore. Do I witness people that's starting to lose the plot? Yes, I do, especially in the industry. Do I experience people that's false? Yeah, a lot. I don't surround myself with people like that. Like I said, I go to work and I go home. It's not the popular opinion, but I've went through it. I've seen the country. I've seen a lot of towns. I mean, the only province that I didn't really travel in was the Eastern Cape. I mean, I've been and sometimes I would sit on my couch and think, damn it, man. Yes, yeah, I've been to a lot of towns. I've seen a lot of places. I've met a lot of people. But now, where we sit here in the loft, it's experiences. But for me now, how can I be more successful with the next thing that I start? the maybe the second book, or maybe learn to edit better, or maybe to write better, or maybe start a company here, or whatever the case may be. How can I better myself, and what can I put in place for me to get there? That excites me, because your alcohol keeps you back, and marijuana for me keeps you back. I mean, there was a girl when I just got diagnosed with bipolar disorder. The psychiatrist told me, we spoke a lot about marijuana, and there's a lot of information that's not right out there. And that's actually one thing that I really want to do one day, is, to maybe make a documentary out of marijuana, to really get to the root of it. But anyway, she said to me, listen, they have a patient that they admitted at Denmark. She went to a party. She's 16 years old. She had a trachea of what? She had one. What's it? Pull.
Yeah. I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah. She had one pull of the joint, and she went into a psychotic state, and they still can't get her out of it. So now you can be susceptible to something like that. It's just that they picture this great thing about marijuana, and obviously people watching this is an unpopular, opinion. But marijuana is not good for you. Most of the people that's in Groendakkies in Pretoria are there because of marijuana. My one friend, his girlfriend, soon to be fiance, she's a doctor, and she said to me, listen, they get patients here, a lot of patients, that comes in that the anxiety, they just can't deal with it. It's because of marijuana. Now, I was that guy that would smoke marijuana, and you would sit across me, and I would show to you, listen, JC, dude, you've got to flip and check this YouTube video. Like, dude, how can you not argue that it's not this and that? So it's an argument that I'm making, but there's also a counter argument.
Okay, so as someone who has a lot of experience, and now you've said you might want to do a documentary about this one day. What is the misconception around marijuana for you?
Well, just out of the experience that I've been through, yes, I think the anxiety part of it. You'll get to a point where you smoke marijuana, but it's not strong enough anymore. Because for me, it didn't get. I had to go to stronger grass to feel the high, and that to me was scary, because I was scared. Because I had the thing with alcohol and women and pornography, I was scared that I would go down that rabbit hole and start using other stuff. So some would call it a gateway drug. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not. But I wasn't feeling that high anymore. So I wanted to get some stronger stuff. And then I started using the oils, and the oils would flip and trip me up. And then I would start eating the hashish. And then that would flip and gooi me on another level. I mean, I would see a bloody dragon flying and spitting fire, seeing colorful flowers dancing around him. That wasn't strong enough. And I realized, listen, dude, cool, I can go on with this now. Or maybe I could try something, maybe crush an urbanol or something, something like that. So I don't know all the misconceptions that are out there, but I just know the psychological effect of getting anxiety, and it can put you in psychosis. I think that's the misconception. I think a lot of people hasn't spoken to, or I don't think a lot of documentaries about marijuana has covered what psychiatrists say about that. What is their opinion? And what has clients of them told them about marijuana? That's going to be interesting, to kind of paint that picture for somebody maybe that's struggling with that.
Yeah, I told you before we started the podcast that I've been watching Suits.
Oh yeah.
I've been getting into Suits, and there's one part in the first season still where someone says, I can't remember what his name was. Trevor's the roommate. And he says to Mike, so Mike finally gets his job as a lawyer, and Trevor says to him, I told you, man, I always told you, if you just stopped smoking weed, you could do it. And that's a thing that I've seen on TV often, where people will, I don't know if it's true or not having any experience with it, but people will give this, will create this idea that marijuana removes motivation. Like if you smoke a lot of weed, you become very content with where you are, and thus you lose a lot of your motivation and ambition to move yourself forward and to drive forward. Is that something that you experienced?
I think so, yeah. I mean, why do you want to smoke it? Why don't you want to be sober? Why do you want to smoke it?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people would have a lot of
Yeah,
answers.
yeah, no, they would. But
why did you smoke it when you did?
Yeah, it was lekker. Yeah. No, it was